Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He is an ECW original, multiple-time tag team champion and world television champion, and he's got a brand new book out, Pitbull Unleashed. Pleased to welcome Pitbull, Gary Wolf. Welcome, Gary, to Wrestling with Heart.
What's happening, brother? Pleasure to be here. And it is correct. I just released the book, Pitbull Unleashed, from the beginning of the Pitbulls to the present day.
All right. Yeah, man, it's exciting. Congratulations. Let's get into this. So, where are you from? Talk to me about your childhood and upbringing.
I was born in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is a small town, farm town. That's 30 minutes to Philadelphia, 30 minutes to Atlantic City. Me and Anthony actually grew up and went to the same school.
So childhood friends.
Yeah, we grew up together, but he had his clique and I had my clique. You know, we didn't really start hanging out until we were like 18 years old. You know, I actually ran into him in the gym.
So right after high school, and tell me about like wrestling. Was that always something you enjoyed as a kid, or did you get into it later on in life?
I enjoyed it as a kid. I used to watch it with my grandfather. Never thought I'd be a wrestler because back in them days, you know, I'm looking at Andre and Bruno Sammartino and Hulk Hogan, you know, and these guys were all huge, big guys. So me and my partner, you know, we were on the bodybuilding trail. Like we wanted to be bodybuilders. So we were working out. We started young, 17, training, and I wasn't even thinking about wrestling, you know, until we were at a gym in Wildwood, New Jersey. I had my own business already on the boardwalk. So the gym came up to me and Anthony, the owners of the gym, and said, "Yo, do you guys want to do security at Raw? Because they're going to be in Wildwood, New Jersey." Back then, they videotaped it. It wasn't live. So we snuck in the building on Monday afternoon. Dick Worley was the only person there. He was just hanging out in the stands. It was me, my partner, Crybaby Waldo, who passed away, and Andy Bernowski, who is a friend of mine who was Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So us four were in the ring thinking we knew what we were doing, and we didn't know what we were doing. And I couldn't work out for 2 weeks after that. That's how bad the ring beat my ass.
It's a grind, and you take so much punishment when you're taking those bumps, and it hurts. It really does. It's like it's no trampoline.
Yeah, when you start, you're a pastry puff, but once you get in it and you're doing it for a while, you're as hard as that rock that's outside your door. That's why nothing hurts us anymore, because the ring is pain as it is. And once we get numb to that pain, then we're golden.
But I think you had to have been kind of on cloud nine, weren't you? Because this was something you loved as a kid, and now you're there. And
well, we at first we were both like, hell no, we ain't doing that. I can't even walk today. I can't even work out today. So summer's done. We went back home to New Jersey, in Hamilton, and come to find out, my partner found out that there was a wrestling school that was called the Monster Factory, which was started by the real legit Nature Boy Buddy Rogers and Larry Sharp and Charlie Fulton. So Anthony said, "I'm going to the school." because that's what we were told. We were told, hey, if you're going to get into the wrestling business, you better go to a good school. You know what I mean? You have to go to a good school. And so Anthony started out. He went before me probably about 20 days, 30 days. Then I got the cash up, met Larry. Uh, at that time, it was $3,000 to join the school. Bear was there, Godfather, Bam Bam Bigelow was. They were just getting ready to leave and start their run. So we noticed, like, wow, there's a lot of guys that made it from this school. You know what I mean? Like, we looked at the wall, we could see it. King Kong Bundy, all the guys. Uh, so I just told Larry, I said, I can give you 500 down and make payments. He was like, okay, no problem. So we got in it, and that's 87, 88. By the end of 88, beginning of 89, we were already working for Vince McMahon. Like, they had us going up there doing the tri-state wrestling area, like Philly, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. And then
That circuit.
so it was just experience for us. Gorilla Monsoon actually was from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and he loved us because he saw us wrestle the Heart Foundation, and that's when he tapped Vince on the leg and said, "Yo, we gotta sign these kids. Yeah, they're 19, they're young, but look at the size of them already. I mean, they're gonna be big dudes." So, we were down for it. And that's when he sent us to South Atlantic Pro Wrestling in North Carolina. That was our last territory. So you got to remember, we were very, very, very fortunate. We got to do Jeff Jarrett's territory, which was 6, 7 nights a week. We got to do Jerry Lawler's territory, which was like 6, 7 nights a week. And then we got South Atlantic, which was Paul Jones and George Scott. And we were there with Ken Shamrock, Vince Torelli, Tatanka, who was Chris Chavis, Ricky Steamboat would be there, the Malinkos, the Fantastics. That's how we got. That's how New Japan saw us, by being there and wrestling those tag teams.
And you're putting in the work and have these reps, and so the trainers, I'd imagine they're really working you guys hard, and they're giving you these drills. Do you recall any pieces of advice that any of your trainers gave you that you still apply to today?
Yeah, I walk in the locker room and shake every single person's hand, introduce myself, look at them right in the eye. I go up to the main event and I say thank you. Thanks for the house, which is you're supposed to do, which kids don't do that no more. That's what I was taught, and so I'm old school, and I'm never going to change. You know what I'm saying?
And it's important to have the values in there too, because you're paying it forward to the next generation of wrestlers, and they're going to learn and they're going to teach the next generation. So you have to have those kinds of values to be able to pass it down.
Yeah, I feel you do, but there's just a new generation out there now. It's like they're more interested in doing high spots than telling a story.
I think storytelling is definitely important because you're getting the audience's attention and you want to get invested in what's going on.
Yeah,
Whether you're cheering or booing, it's about the story. And I think that's important that the audience knows what's going on. You don't want to lose the audience.
and I think that's a problem we're having right now in the business is where most of these guys are more interested in doing high spots. You know what I mean? And I'm not lying to you. I mean, they'll do a high spot and then go right into another one. They don't even do a transition move or a transition spot before they do the other spot. So, like, people are sitting there, they're just figuring out what you did, and you just did something else. How are they gonna, comprehend what you're doing?
It's the psychology. I think having that psychology of why you're doing the moves is as important as doing the moves themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
you're 100% correct.
Now, you had mentioned you were with WWE, working television, going on the road. At what point did ECW call you about joining the promotion?
I was already working for ECW in '88. I started with them once I signed with the Monster Factory, and we were good enough to do independent shows. Uh, Todd Gordon just so happened to hit us up, and he also found out that New Japan was interested in us. And there was no question about it. I mean, I don't know if you read his book, but he'll tell you he signed us immediately. You know what I mean? Once he knew we were going to Japan, like a lot of the other ECW guys, we're the Pitbulls or the ECW originals. It was Tri-State Wrestling Alliance when we got there. We were the second tag team to ever hold those tag team titles. Super Destroyers were the first. We were the second. Then later on, it turned into Eastern Championship Wrestling. I went to Japan. I came home and I saw it on TV. And that's when I called Todd Gordon. I helped Sandman get in the business. I even called Sandman. I said, when did you guys get on TV? He's like, well, you're in Japan. I said, no, I'm actually home. I got home. I had to get my knee fixed. And he's like, well, you better. I said, yeah. He said, come to the building. So I went to the building, met Paul Heyman, and that's all. I mean, I never left. It was just I left to go to Japan. I mean, I was still part of that company.
I think the history of ECW is so fascinating in that here's this independent promotion that gets this recognition and this following from so many people, and to this day, people still talk about it. No matter where you go, they're gonna remember uh, the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam and yourself and all these people that really paved the way for what we see now in these companies, and whether it is WWE or AEW or TNA and all these indies that you see nowadays. It's amazing to see what ECW really started and how it inspired, really generations of professional wrestlers and wrestling companies.
We have like a cult following. And you also got to remember if you saw the first one night stand,
Hmm.
okay, that was the night that the Attitude Era happened. That night. That's when all the Vince's guys were up in the stands with Bischoff, and they were watching us put on a show, and their jaws were on the ground because they could not believe the stuff we were doing. And then they sat back and said to themselves, oh shit, we're going to have to step our game up because you heard that crowd. You know what I mean? Even when it went back to WWE, you still heard EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub. You're never going to stop hearing it. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to happen.
And I've talked to so many guys and girls that were a part of the locker room. There seemed to have been like this camaraderie with the talent there. Never before have you really have heard of companies having such just strong bonds and friendships. People still talk about that, a lot of
Because
times.
we weren't handed a script and said, do this just like this. No, Paul would pull us aside and say, okay, this is what I want to happen. Okay. In your own way, like you're trained. Okay. Set it up, tell the story, get that story across, and do it. So he gave us an option, and we also had, we were able to put our 2 cents in the match. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Kind of
That's what
like,
made it so special.
yeah, improvised. A lot of times, you guys kind of were able to kind of call the matches on the fly, really come up with different
Yeah.
things, and it just became this magical event, and people came every time.
Like if you want to see a great match, it was the number one match at the ECW arena in 1995. It was number two match in the world underneath Razor Ramon and the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels was number one. The Pitbulls versus Stevie Richards and Raven was number two, best out of three falls. Unbelievable match. Uh, if you want to watch that match, it's Gangster's Paradise. Check it out, man. It'll blow your mind how that match turned out.
And I think that ECW really kind of introduced uh, the U.S. audience to a lot of different talent, a lot of different stars, like the Eddie Guerreros, the Rey Mysterios, the Psychosis and Super Crazies, all these guys, Jericho, um,
We,
all of
we
them.
were all from we were all from Japan and working for ECW. See, like I would go to Japan with Sabu, Jericho, Benoit, Eddie, Dean Malenko, and then I'd go back and work for ECW. So I didn't sign with Vince. I signed with New Japan. I just so happened to do that, which I should have did Vince for about a year or two. Then I should have went to New Japan.
How did you and your tag partner meet up, and how were you guys put together?
Like I told you, we did the security that time at the event, and right after that summer, he joined a wrestling school, and I followed him when we joined, and we just wanted to see if we could do it. And believe it or not, we were kicking ass and taking names, man. It was just like you have to be an athlete to do what we do anyway. But since we were already working out, we had the bodies. It made it easier for us. I mean, we got attention very quickly. Plus, we had a great gimmick. You know, we, I mean, the British Bulldogs are like one of our favorite tag teams. I mean, and we got to go to New Zealand in front of 55,000 people in 1988 and 89 and wrestle the British Bulldogs. Okay, so I mean, that in itself, 2 weeks on the road with them, you know how much experience we learned? And then they helped us because what they did is, in the beginning, that first night, they didn't even want to talk to us. You know what I mean? It was like, fuck you guys. You're trying to steal our gimmick. I'm like, no, you're Bulldogs. We're Pitbulls. You know what I mean? It's two different things. But we went out, wrestled a 45-minute match. We didn't even call the finish until we were out in the ring because they wouldn't give it to us. They were testing us. And the next morning I got up, we went across the hall. They were already up drinking, 11 a.m., drinking VO. And they said, have a drink with us. They hugged us and said, you're our brothers and you're in the business and we can trust you. And what they did was go back to WWF and talk about us. And that got us over. So, and then working an independent show in New Jersey against the Wild Samoans one time. That's all it took. And then Fonseca loved us. Anytime they'd work somewhere, they would ask the promoter, book the Pitbulls, book the Pitbulls.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had earned the guys' respect in the locker room, and were able to get all these bookings. And the Pitbulls really were such an iconic tag team. One of the, like you said, one of the first in ECW's history. You guys got to work so many tag teams over your time in ECW. Who were some of your favorite opponents that you got to work against?
The Canadian, I think they were called the Canadian Tour. It was Doug Furness and Lafont, who was from France. Amazing tag team. I've worked every tag team you could think of, bro. I mean, the Art Foundation were great. The Rougeau brothers were great. The Bulldogs were good, really good, because we kind of were similar, you know what I mean? And we just clicked. I mean, we worked Hase and Sasaki in Japan for the titles at the Tokyo Dome. I mean, we've been in the ring. I mean, I've worked Lager for 45 minutes. Hayabusa, you know what I mean? Like I've been in the ring with everybody. Muda tagging up with Master Chono against the Pitbulls. I mean, we've done it all. We've been in the ring with everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Uh, probably my favorite tag team was I put them over, even though they don't put us over, is the Eliminators. I liked them. And I liked the Public Enemy. Were very good to us.
Yeah, those are some good matches. I enjoy watching those back and seeing the crowd pop for the different moves and everything.
We were doing double dog collar matches. Nobody was even doing
It's
that. Nobody's done
innovative.
that yet.
You guys are so creative with coming up with different match concepts and match types. Really just got the audience's attention, and were able to really uh, have these moments where people are still talking about them. So yeah, those really good ones for sure.
Yeah, we always wanted to bring the crowd into the match. You know, what I mean,
Hmm.
we wanted the fan to come to that building. He worked 40 hours that week. He wants to let off some steam. And that's what we wanted to do. You know,
Yeah.
like one night they would cheer the pit bulls. Another night they would call us shit bulls. So it didn't matter to us. We were heels, faces. We never changed our style.
I want to switch gears and talk about some of the stuff that you've done outside of the ring. I know you've been involved with a lot of charity organizations and have done charity work or volunteered over the years. What kinds of things have you done to help out in your community?
Uh, Very big on autism awareness. uh, Extremely huge. I own with my new partner, Veterans Pro Wrestling, which deals with all first responders, every single person in the military, fire department, uh, first responders. I just came back from a meeting with the Marines today at the Marine base, and they take care of everybody in Florida. You know, so September 6th, if you're in Florida, Spring Hill Drive, Anderson Snow, VFW, brother. It's going to be a huge, huge show. We've got guys from NWA on it. You got the TV title. I don't know if you can see the poster, but you guys check that out. It's going to be online all over the place soon. Uh, but we got, like I said, we got Austin, we got Idol, who's the television champion of the NWA, who's going to be putting the belt on the line. We got Rowdy Piper's daughter, Piper, who's wrestling. A lot of people, Missy Hyatt, Fonzie will be there. So it's a big show, and we're really excited, especially after today's meeting. We're going to be taking care of all the veterans here in Florida, raising money for them. Uh, this particular base that we were at today helps out any veteran that's in the VFW, Moose Lodge, American Legion. They're there for them. So if they have a problem and they're getting evicted, they'll help them. If they're sick, they need money, they'll help them. So I just made the deal with that company, and we're going to be running a show with them in January. So we're rocking and rolling here in Florida, West Coast. Veterans Pro Wrestling with AML, who's another part of us. And we just made partners with another company that's out of the Carolinas that we're going to be going up and down the East Coast. We do work for the USO. So up in Greenwich, where Connecticut is, where they make the nuclear submarines, we're going to be putting shows on for them guys for good morale and stuff like that.
Nice. I mean, you guys definitely have really gotten involved with different kinds of causes. What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
Well, you got to give to get. And I've learned that. You know, some of these guys that promote shows, they're only interested in one thing and not giving anything back. You know what I mean? If they give me a building for free, I want them to make money. So I'm going to do whatever I can to pack that place and help them make money. Uh, I have a I have a kid named Cutter who is my bell guy for the company for veterans.
Mhm.
Uh, He's my autistic kid, and he's my boy. His mom, Kat, is a great lady. They own a Hard Rock, Rock Your World tile company, and they're big sponsors of ours. They help us out, and they're huge autism people. You know, they really, really, really put the time in to help the kids out.
Was there like a particular moment or event that you had helped out with in the past that really was heartwarming for you?
Uh, Yeah, I ended up doing a show where they did a Balls Mahoney Memorial Cup Battle Royal. And I was actually surprised because I didn't know they were actually doing that. And then they put me over in it. So I won a nice trophy for Balls Mahoney, who I took up with in Japan after my partner passed away. So,
Yeah. Balls Mahoney, another great ECW performer, still missed to this day, and I'm sure that meant a lot to you.
yeah, I mean, when my partner passed, I took up with Balls a couple times. Even went to Puerto Rico, gave us the belt again. I even took up with Cronus for a few times. We went back to Puerto Rico. We had the belts again. Uh, Pretty much every company we were in, we had the tag titles.
It's amazing. Um, well, let's talk about your new book. What made you decide to write The Pitbull Unleashed?
I've been asked a lot to write a book, just never really thought I could or I should. But now that I found a new partner and we got the Pitbulls 13 that's coming out, I decided to do a book in honor of my partner, my mom. It was forwarded by Todd Gordon. Also, Missy Hyatt did the back cover. You can see it. Missy Hyatt wrote the
Hmm.
back cover of it. It was forwarded by Todd Gordon, which you can see right here. It just tells you how me and my partner met each other, how we started out till present day. You know what I mean? We were very, very fortunate. You know what I mean? And you'll read this. I mean, when I met Kevin Sullivan, I wasn't even in the business yet. Okay, I didn't even start school yet, but I already knew the rules. So I walked up to him in the gym in Daytona Beach and shook his hand. And wouldn't you know it, like 15, 20 minutes after that, he was done working out. He came up to me and my friend and said, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, finishing our workout and we're going to start drinking. It's spring break. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Well, screw that. Go down A1A on the beach. It's the only condo on the beach at that time in Daytona. It was only one. He lived on the top floor. He said, "Come over, eat dinner." So we went over to his house. Nancy was there. They were still married. We ate dinner. I met him, talked to him, and Kevin Sullivan, man, he helped us out so much, man. It was unbelievable. He's the one that introduced us to King Curtis and Don Morocco, you know what I mean, and Jimmy Snuka, you know, like and the Wild Samoans. I mean, if it wasn't for, I love Kevin Sullivan, man. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't. And things might not have happened the way they happened, you know. But it was me showing him that I respect him. You see what I'm saying? He didn't know me from Adam. You know what I mean? But I still had the balls to go up to him and shake his hand. I said, "Look, I didn't start wrestling school yet. I paid. I'm getting ready. This is my last hurrah. I'm here 2 weeks, man, banging and slaying bitches. Okay. And then I'm going to wrestling school. Party's over. You know what I mean?" I didn't know that once I graduated, the parties just started.
Yeah, I mean, they put you through the ringer and you're on TV, you're working for all these different companies, and you're still here to tell the tale and talk about all these stories. Um, and I know that you've made a lot of friends in the business. Some are, still here with us, some of them are no longer with us, but those memories last forever. They really do. And Kevin Sullivan's another guy who will be missed, who's still missed to this day. Very instrumental in helping the young talent and uh, able to give pointers to the next generation, to generations of talent. Um, Gary, I want to say thank you so much for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you, about your book, and anything else you want to promote?
Check out my Facebook. It's just Gary Wolf. You can tell because it has the legends of the cartoon legends. You can't miss it. Also, check out Veterans Pro Wrestling website on Facebook. Uh, I'm on Twitter, but I couldn't tell you what the hell that was. The number, my code is on that. But being in the ring for 40 years, your brain gets a little jolted. I just turned 58 in March, and I'm still wrestling to this day. I'm still in shape. So if you need me for any bookings, you can contact me, Pitbull 67GW at gmail.com. Hit me up, any vendors for signing, autograph signings, or even any kind of match. I'm still in shape and still working to this day.
All right.
And get ready, the Pitbull 13 is coming out. We're going to be the baddest tag team on the planet. Everybody better grow eyes behind the back of their head.
Get ready. Watch out. All right. Well, Gary, thanks again. And you're more than welcome to come back.
Well, I plan on it because you said you're going to bring me back, brother.
Yes, that's right. We'll do a part 2.
You got it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Take care.
Peace.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.